And welcome back. You're listening to Hysteria, the podcast for people who never understood what a perfect insult dipshit is until Tim Walz compared Elon Musk jumping around on stage like a dipshit. So funny. So funny.
It was terrific.
Yeah.
So good. So good. Can I just tell you how much I love Tim Walz? I've never met Tim Walz, but he is now on my bucket list of people I want to hang with. Like, I want to hang out with him for a full day. I just want to go around with him and go ride a roller coaster with him.
I was going to say, County Fair seems like the place where you can hit every single thing on the list. It's
and
like
I'll have
you
a
can
corn
have
dog.
a beer, a turkey leg,
A turkey
roller
leg.
coaster.
Yeah.
We'll be like the what is it? Is it the fox or the rats that are taking the corn cob? I'll have the corn cob. I'll fight over the corn cob with Tim Walz.
You got to go to the Minnesota State Fair. I feel like he just like pops up in different places there. If you're hanging on the fairgrounds for long enough, you're going to run into Tim Walz.
And I love the fact that he is both like super coach dad and super like girl dad, fun dad, but he also probably knows all the lyrics to Purple Rain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
100%. He is the ultimate polymath.
You can't run for office in Minnesota unless you pass a written test where you have to write down all the lyrics of Purple Rain, the extended version of Purple Rain with the extra tracks. Alyssa, let's do one more story.
Trump lies so often that fact-checking him during a debate is a near impossible task, but the Central Park Five, now known as the Exonerated Five, are taking him to court over his fallacies. The group alleged in a federal court defamation lawsuit filed in Pennsylvania that the former president suggested during the debate that the group of men pled guilty to the rape and assault of a woman in Central Park in 1989 and that they killed someone. In reality, the defendants' names were cleared of wrongdoing and the victims survived the attack. A Trump spokesman made in a statement Monday claiming that the lawsuit was an attempt to interrupt the election, a case made all too often by Trump and his supporters, and the laundry list of civil cases against him. Joy, you were a teenager in New York during the Central Park Five case.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
It's the reason I never watched The Apprentice or The Celebrity Apprentice. Like, all my friends watched The Apprentice. I just despised Donald Trump all the way since then because, you know, I moved from Denver. My mom unfortunately passed away when I was 17, and so I moved back to New York. I was born and lived with my aunt. So I arrived in New York during this really fraught period when, you know, Yusuf Hawkins was killed, when you just had, like, open, like, race, you know, hell and race hate and violence in the city. So it was already, like, a traumatic time to be in the city. And then you have Donald Trump come along and take out this full-page ad. We as teenagers, these guys are my age, we were terrified to be outside. You know, there was a sense of just danger that the police were calling us wilding, that we're wilding, like we're animals. And you just had this constant sense of fear. And Donald Trump stoked that. So I never saw the charm of Trump that other people saw. And also, if you lived in New York, you knew that most people there like laughed at him because he was a terrible businessman. But the karma of this is so beautiful that Yusuf Salam, who's one of the Central Park Five, the Exonerated Five, is now a city councilman in Harlem. He was elected by his peers. And Donald Trump is a felon. And they were he was tried in the exact same courthouse where the Central Park Five were tried. And here's the biggest irony. He is defaming them and refusing to back down from his claims that they were rapists. New York settled $24 million with them because it was completely false charges against 14 and 15-year-old boys. But 5 years after the Central Park rape happened, which another man confessed to, by the way, another person did it, Donald Trump went into a Bergdorf Goodman's with E. Jean Carroll and grabbed her by what he said he could grab women by in 2006. He literally did the thing that he accused them of doing. And then there are about 24 other women who have stories of being fondled by Trump, kissed by him. He said, I can just kiss. I don't even wait. There are women who are like, yeah, he just kissed me. He didn't even wait. He felt women up between their legs, including E. Jean Carroll, to the point where the judge in the case, he was not convicted of rape, but the adjudication from the judge is that he sexually abused her. And then he described in his ruling that it would be described as rape under the common definition, although that's not what he was adjudicated to have done. So Donald Trump is the thing he calls those young men. He is the monster that he says, I want to be women's protector. Bullshit. You literally are a sex pest and have been your whole life. And and then you put another one on the Supreme Court, who we've never gotten a full airing about what did Kavanaugh do. And who did he victimize? So they're traveling together. It's the Jeffrey Epstein collective.
There are more sex pests currently on the Supreme Court than there have ever been black women on the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Which is, that's a bad number. Bad number. What does it say about Trump that he just refuses to apologize?
So, I did my one Trump book, The Man Who Sold America, and so I had to go deep into the dreck of Trump's background. And what you find is that he was raised by two people who were probably sociopaths, his father and mother. And what they instituted, and Mary Trump will tell you this, she said it to me on air, and she will say it if you call her up and ask her, that Fred Trump did not allow his children to develop real normal emotions. They were not allowed to lose. If you lose, you're a loser. They were not allowed to confront the idea of losing. The only church he's ever been a part of is the Power of Positive Thinking church, that sort of quasi-religious institution. And so he was just bred and taught that you always win, you never back down. Roy Cohn trained him as well. You never admit you were wrong, and you never admit you lost. And that's just the philosophy he's lived by his whole life. It's probably sociopathy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I feel like that maybe is something that is both bred and developed in environments. Have you ever seen the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Of course. One of the best.
Don't you feel like the Black Knight always triumphs scene is like, I mean, like I'm waiting. It's so frustrating to watch someone just like not admit that they lost. And I feel like watching Donald Trump try to spin, and all of his minions try to spin anything that he's ever done as like a victory. Like even if he, his swaying at the rally, his complete like defamation of these people who like the funny part that it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. Like the fact that he said that the woman died and she didn't die. Like she's
right.
like
nothing is correct.
No.
She's a motivational speaker. Like she could sue him for defamation by being like, "Hey, you're
still here."
Yeah, I'm still here, and you're interfering with my livelihood by saying I'm dead. Like I literally speak about the fact that I survived for a living. Like it is really, really crazy. In Trump's mind, what do you think he's gaining by bringing up this case? I mean, isn't he trying to win the votes of young black men? Like what's going on? Well,
it's weird because, if you think about even the men who are endorsing him, like the Lawrence Taylors of the world, they all, weirdly enough, not all, but there's a substantial number of them who also have similar cases in their background. Have you noticed that? Like he's surrounding himself with other men who have had issues in this very area, right? Of their treatment of women, and sometimes in a sexual abuse sort of vein. And so I think what he thinks he's doing, and his strategy clearly is, it's a boy versus girl election, right? And Donald Trump thinks of everything like WWE. And so when he was on The Apprentice, one of the marketers was on my show, was on the Reid Out, talking about the fact that he wanted to have blacks versus whites on The Apprentice and on Celebrity Apprentice.
I remember hearing that and being like, what a terrible, stupid idea.
He's like, race war, but for prizes, right? So this is him, right? It's who he is. But he's decided he doesn't need Nikki Haley voters. He doesn't need women. He wants this to be a men's election. It's a man's world is one of the themes that he plays. And he's being sued for that because the artists don't want anything to do with him. But the idea is, I want men to stand up and feel that women always lie. If women say that they were sexually abused, they're liars. You need to think of women as Harriets and liars and fools and incubators. And that's his summary belief about who women are. And so I think leaning into the idea, but in this case, he doesn't say the woman lied. He's saying the men lied, right? And so some of it doesn't make any sense. I think his goal in the election is to get men to come out and support him. But this counteracts that, because this is actually him accusing black and brown men of a crime they didn't commit. So I think that might just be the dementia.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that I sometimes think he kind of gets all twisted up in himself and what he's trying to do, and he loses track of it. Like he was kind of on a kick earlier this summer of trying to win women back. back, trying to prevent women from peeling off. And polling right now is showing that actually white women are supporting Harris more than they've ever supported a Democratic candidate, which is still not good enough, but it's better than they have been doing. I wonder if he just was getting it twisted and being like, this woman was white. The Central Park jogger was white. And so I need to remind white women that if I don't win, they're going to be raped by people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like maybe he's kind of getting his messaging all mixed up. Sort of like when you play Ave Maria and November Rain back to back, where it's like, what are you saying, sir?
Don't forget the YMCA.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I've never gotten that.
I don't either.
It's a gay anthem. But he's not down with the gays.
Yeah, no, he's super not. Well, I kind of want to end on like a fun little Schadenfreude fest. Last year, Rudy Giuliani was found liable for defamation against Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, two Georgia election workers he singled out for tampering with the 2020 election results. They did not tamper with the 2020 election results. They were just two regular people who just got completely done wrong. He owes the two a total of $150 million for causing them emotional distress. And he also owes money for punitive damages and defamation, and it has taken him a while to cough the money up. So this week, a federal judge ordered Giuliani to turn over his most valuable possessions to them, which includes several watches, including items given to him by foreign leaders in the aftermath of September 11th, a signed Joe DiMaggio jersey, and other sports memorabilia, a 1980 Mercedes once owned by Lauren Bacall, his TV, furniture.
The TV is the funniest one.
Yeah, his TV.
What kind of TV does he have?
Yeah, like some kind of like whiz-bang deluxe TV. They're not that expensive
Also,
anymore.
is it not a part of his apartment?
His jewelry and his Upper East Side apartment. So, Joy, my question for you is, if you were Miss Ruby and Miss Shay, what is the first Rudy Giuliani item that you would showboat in public?
First of all, I would put the watch on, and I would be
100%.
wearing it on me. I'd be like, put it on me, and I would wave it around, okay, like I was in the club. Okay, so that's number one. Watch would stay with me. Car would stay with me. I would drive it down the street in front of the little hotel where he has to live and honk the horn and say, Rudy, come on down here. Look at me in this car. Look at the car. Rudy. That would be me every day because I'm petty. Okay, I'm Petty Davis. I would literally keep the car, keep the watch, right? The TV could go because I can get a better one. And I would throw just one, not a bunch, but just one dope party in the penthouse after fully fumigating it. Okay, because we got to be clear. It'd have to be thoroughly cleaned,
and some
thoroughly
sage.
And sage, and we would definitely have to get an Obia man in there to make sure there's no witches and thing in there, and get the ghosts and thing out, right? And then have just one party, and maybe it might be like an election night fete, right?
Oh, that would be
And then let
good.
it go, and then sell it for the millions. So I think they should do all the things. God bless those women. It is such poetic justice. The other person that was around when I moved back to New York was Rudy, and Rudy started off his whole career doing a police race riot on the Brooklyn Bridge, and then came in after Mayor Dinkins, my forever mayor of New York, and was so racist and so cruel and so awful. And he too is from Brooklyn, as I am, but would not set foot in Brooklyn because he just hated black people so much. Karma is real. Karma is real, and its name is Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman. God bless those women. Take it all, ladies. Enjoy it. Sell that thing for millions and go on a nice vacation.
Well, great start to Scorpio season, I think. It's coming. The stinger is coming. Might take a while, but it's coming.